Do you believe in miracles? We got Fizzle in the house. Fizzle, what's good, man? Fizzle, glad to have you here.
Let's go. This the South Harmon Podcast. Glad you here today. Hit that Patreon link if you here to stay. Dynasty best ball, that's my favorite way. 40 chess trade show, let's make a trade today or check a AMA. You know Adam at the ATM. Mike always in the building, he gon' stay with him. They gon' start every show off with their own trade. Fantasy's a big ocean, they made their own wave. Make sure you tapping in Tuesdays and Saturdays. Tuesday night, Saturday morning, ain't no better way. Hit that notification bell when the news break. Go subscribe right now, don't get the news late. Destination Devy, that's the team. Dynasty football, man, that's my favorite thing. I remember Biggie said it was all a dream. Now people watching on their phones and computer screens. Welcome to the team. Let's start the show.
What's up, everybody? Sunday night AMA for the second consecutive week. You get to see me and ask me questions. I'm officially back, but before that, we get into all this. Adam, how you doing, buddy? You got a Cleveland Browns thumbnail up. You must be excited as hell. You got Brownie the Elf lit up in the background there. I see the Cleveland Browns sign up, and Cal Pitts is still on your wall, so you must still believe, huh? He believes so much he's on mute.
I'm so excited I muted myself because you can't believe the excitement. I could not be more excited, Mike. Like, I could not be more excited because we got fucking Elijah Moore. Let's go. I'm actually really excited for this trade, man. I think the Browns did a pretty good job working it, really, getting him. I know people were like, oh, you sent a second where you didn't have to, but we also got a third back, so we basically moved back around to still pick up Elijah Moore. There's some other, things the Browns need to do to clean up, so you got a third rounder for that. I think Elijah Moore getting the best quarterback he's ever played with, as much as Mike loves him some Zach Wilson. We got Deshaun Watson throwing him the football for a full year. I think it should help unlock Watson. I think it helps everybody in this offense other than maybe Donovan Peoples-Jones, who I'm now strictly interested in a best ball league, and that would be it.
I think he hit the roster clogger territory in lineup leagues, right? Pretty easily.
It feels like it for sure.
Man,
what up, y'all? Finally catching it live for the first time in a while. Glad you're here, man. Oh, and we got Fizzle. Big shout out to Fizzle, who is drinking in the South Harmon glass sent to him by us and, in the patron. So we're ready, man.
Listen, your Browns got Elijah Moore. He was our guy in the offseason last year. We did a video on him. It was horrible for us. He was on our YouTube banner, still is on our YouTube banner till we updated to this year's players. And didn't go well for those guys on the banner outside of Devontae Smith. That was about it.
Yep. That was Devontae Smith. I thought there was maybe one more, but it was pretty rough as a totality. Yeah. We missed everywhere.
Wasn't that great? I am back in on
Tua.
I am back in on Elijah Moore pretty heavily in the shit rankings. I moved him up. He's a wide receiver 34 now. So just for some context for me, that's how I am on Elijah Moore.
That's pretty
Last year he was about 15, so not as much. Not as much.
Do you remember, Mike? You and I both. They were one spot different. And our big disagreement, which wasn't even really much of a disagreement, was I think you had Elijah Moore ahead of Wilson and I had him ahead. But we were both one spot on each of them, which meant we were both really, really wrong about Elijah Moore.
Whoops. So I'm back in, but not like last year. But I think, top 36 wide receiver feels good for him in that offense as the number 2 to Amari.
Right.
Hopefully the successor to Amari for the Browns' future when Amari starts to fade out. But I think that offense pretty much just runs through Nick Chubb Deshaun Watson, and the 3 passing weapons, and I really don't care about anybody else on that team as far as lineup's concerned. I'll throw some shots at DPJ, like you said, in the best ball, but lineup league, no way. No way, he's dead.
Yeah, I think the other thing too, Mike, is this to me at least really signals that with Watson, like they prioritized. They were also talking a lot about getting Jerry Jeudy, and I know Jerry Jeudy's on the chopping block, but it seems like Denver wants way too much for him, and probably rightfully so. But they were prioritizing adding a receiver to this team, and I think that really signals that they want to throw the football a lot. And I think if this becomes a high-powered offense, that's good for Nick Chubb. That's good for Elijah Moore. That's good for Amari Cooper. That's good for David Njoku. So I'm excited. I'm excited. They have been.
Not even through trades, Adam, but 2 years ago it was Anthony Schwartz.
David Bell.
I had him on a lot of teams, thinking he would ever do something. He never did. David Bell last year got us a little bit excited, even though he had a horrible combine. But I was like, hey, Cleveland, he's got a chance. He's going to learn from Amari, blah, blah, blah. Then he didn't do anything either. Ended up being DPJ who emerged, and now they just kind of signaled that wasn't enough for him. Let's go get Elijah, and we're going to pair him. So I like it. If he doesn't do anything this year, though, like he's dead. Like it's over.
That was kind of my piece that I wrote on the newsletter. Shout out to Destination Devy. Make sure you're tapping into the newsletter there. It's free, premium content. Best way I could put it. And yeah, be careful though how ahead of yourself you get with Elijah Moore, because if Elijah Moore comes to Cleveland, and let's even say like he gets hurt or just underproduces, you don't really recover from 3 years and not having the tangible production you can touch, so just understand that's still the risk with Elijah Moore. As excited as we all want to be, right, just still pump the brakes a touch, because
we'll get to make those bets, man. I'm kind of excited. If you guys also are tapped into Destination Devy, you know that they have the partnership with Underdog. We have our own promo code 40chess, so if you go sign up there, it'll be down in the description. But when I come back from vacation, man, we're going to start doing some live Underdog drafts, especially with you guys who are here. We'll get some leagues where it's come draft against us, some private leagues, and then we'll also do some tournament entries. And I'm interested to see how high Elijah Moore gets by the time I come back from vacation. I think it's going to be a slow build-up, man. I think there's going to be a lot more people hopping on board.
He has a lot more to climb. So let me say, Caleb, appreciate the comment. Most underrated Dynasty channel on YouTube. Means a lot. We have our boy Dynasty Barry's in the building. What's up, Barry?
What up, DB?
DB's here. We got Cassie's here. Appreciate everyone tapping in. Tunchi's here. Tunchi, by the way, not only does he say he's here, he says, I got my whiskey, need a South Harmon glass. We've had some of the patrons get some. If you do want a South Harmon glass and you're not a patron, hit me up in Twitter. We can probably arrange getting you one. But you should at least, if you want a South Harmon glass, let me tell you this. If you want one of these, which they're really dope, by the way, they're awesome, right? If you want one of those for $1 a month, you will also love the Patreon, patreon.com/South Harmon. So just trust me on that, because if you do that, you'll see me sending beer selfies, drink selfies in there. You'll get really good content. You're not going to go wrong with the Patreon.
Good place for advice, man. You spend that $1 a month, will help you win more than that. You can buy all the bourbon glasses you could want.
Yeah,
the bourbon glasses.
We'll take care of you. But so go to patreon.com/South Harmon. We'll get you hooked up. If you really don't want to do that, you just want the glass, hit me up on the Twitter DMs. We can make sure it gets taken care of. So, all right, enough of the ranting, BSing. Mike and I are excited just to be here and talk with you guys. So let's get into some questions. All right, Dr. B. Harris couldn't have a better. Speaking of Patreon, one of the Savage members, our boy Dr. B. Harris, he's always at Savage Semester 2. First question, which QBs would you trade away for Kyler and the 101? Whoa.
Quarterbacks I wouldn't trade away is probably easier.
Yeah, we just go down the list, start at 1 and go down the list, and when we say no, and then we say, yeah, I'd do it here.
Mahomes.
No chance.
No. Allen.
No.
Burrow.
Nope.
Hurts.
No.
Herbert.
Nope.
All right. Now this is where I think we start.
This is where we start getting, yeah.
T-Law.
I'll be honest. I still say no, but it's if it's best ball, I'd think I might not. I still think I probably want T-Law, but in best ball, I might think about it.
Lamar.
Lamar's the one. I'm gonna say why Lamar's yes for me. I hate to say yes, but because of all the turmoil and the uncertainty, Kyler has the same thing. So I'm getting that back and 101. That's why I'll take that. Lamar would be the cutoff for me. I'll do it for Lamar, and then anyone subsequently lower, I'll do the same thing.
Fields.
But what's that?
Fields.
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of with you here. Fields and T-Law are kind of those maybes.
T-Law for me, I want to say no. But I really believe in what they have going with him and with Peterson and Ridley coming over. They have draft capital to use on more receivers while he's on a rookie deal. I really believe in T-Law. But I guess if you wanted to trade T-Law away for Kyler and 101, you could do worse probably. So
I got 5 that are hard no, and then
I'm with you. Herbert,
three
Burrow, Hurts, Allen, and Mahomes. You can kick rocks. Right. You can find someone else. It ain't me.
T-Law, Lamar, Fields. We could have a nice conversation about it, and then the rest: Watson, Dak. Yeah, easily.
My thing, I guess, is I probably I almost value Trevor Lawrence neck and neck. I lean Herbert, but it's like neck and neck for me. They're basically the same for me. I'll take Herbert every time, but it's close.
We have definitely seen that in those auctions that we've been doing here. Those auction startups when the money's on the line. Those guys are pretty damn close. Because Mike, how much they go for.
And you also saw. Go check out a trade show from a few weeks ago. It's not hard to find. Trevor Lawrence is the thumbnail. You saw that I traded away 101, 103, and 105 and Treylon Burks, right, for Trevor Lawrence. So, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it, man. No, not 101. It was 103, 105, and Treylon Burks. But, yeah, I'll send I believe T-Law is probably a no for me, but everybody else lower than that I would do it for. So, I'm with
I feel it.
Most of that there. All right, we got happy Sunday night to everybody. Appreciate that, Ryan. Let's see if we can get to some. Okay. I bought so much shares of Watson this season. Am I crazy?
No.
The cost is what's going to be the way I can answer the question. Like, Watson this year was a great purchase. Now, people probably expected more from him in the second half of the season than he gave them, but he was a great purchase. Even then, we didn't see how bad the quarterback position was going to become, too. Like, that's baked in as well.
Right.
So,
right. I like him as a purchase, man. As long as you weren't getting too over your skis. Like, we saw some in some of our leagues we did with, like, Deshaun Watson deals when we knew he wasn't playing that were crazy. Crazy. But in generally, I say for most people, when you bought Deshaun Watson, you bought it at a discount. I'm very happy with that now. Like, we just we're in the middle of recording the trade show before we hopped on here, and we had one with spoiler alert 3 first, essentially. One of them being in 25. So whether you want to count that as a real one or not, I'm for it, man. If you ain't got to send a quarterback back, I'll take Deshaun Watson. Like, I'm in. He's a top 9 quarterback at worst. We did the cover with this damn AMA about the Browns and how excited we are for Elijah Moore to be there. I like their offense. So I think Watson's one of those guys that could go from 9 and we could be talking about him as a top 4 dynasty quarterback next year. Like, if he puts up the numbers that we saw at Houston in this offense this year and reminds everybody how good he is at playing quarterback, how efficient he was historically with his numbers. So, yeah, having a lot of Watson's probably not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's interesting on that. First of all, we got all kind of stuff going on here. Let me get to these beautiful comments. The beard is coming back too. Ryan puts that out there. It is. You can see it. It's going to take some time. It's kind of like the channel. You don't just grow it overnight, but when it's here, it's going to be beautiful. Dynasty Alex and
It'll be
Red
tan
were,
in a couple weeks when I
there
come
you go.
back from the Caribbean.
It's gonna be highlighted. Got the blonde in there. It's gonna be looking good. Dynasty Alex and Ryan Edwards, a bunch of other people. They're kind of, give me a little shit here. The only hologram he's saying that we had was Chubb. So it's Adam's time to have a week, and he doesn't get many chances to put the Browns on the thumbnail. It's true. So appreciate you guys.
I mean, not everybody's team could be, in the Super Bowl. So
it's funny how I get one little bit of excitement, and Mike's already rubbing it in that he's got a damn suit.
Listen, man, you sniped me on Hendon Hooker today, so
it's okay.
We're a little salty over here. You
know what though? This is the type of treatment. I hope you guys. I'm glad you're all here. There's 50 people in the building to witness. This is how I get treated. This is what it looks like. Mike and Adam, on a scale of epic to miraculous, what do you think of my draft in shit too? So what's bad, epic or miraculous?
I don't know.
Because he says that's a scale. So what's the bad one?
I don't know. He started out hot, right?
I was going to say because he really I'm not. Well, I'll let you kind of touch on that, Mike. I don't want to be.
He made some hellacious trades in that league, right? Fleeced a guy for Bryce Young, which was awesome. He already had the 101. Got C.J. Stroud, right? First 3 picks, fantastic. Good job. I have no idea why he took Stetson Bennett in the 4th round, but congratulations to you. Maybe he felt guilty that he'd been doing so well, so he's like, hey, Stetson Bennett. Listen, man, if you wouldn't have screwed up on Stetson Bennett pick, been a great draft. It's just wasted a roster spot. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It kind of is what it is.
Maybe he's got an affinity for bad quarterbacks. He is a Brock Purdy fan, so I guess it fits.
You know what? I'm gonna just we're gonna move on. Mike
next.
Mike, what's your take? Is that about it?
I don't know. The guy's out here gloating because he had 3 first-round picks, and I'm sitting here with my co-host who has multiple leagues where he's had 10 first-round.
Speaking of which,
you drafted basically a whole new team and a startup just with rookie picks.
If we're gonna do that, if we're gonna just gloat, okay? I'm not really one for gloating, but since Mike brought it up, I'll partake. So I drafted 20 players by 301, and then guess what happened, Mike? Somebody in that league was like, you know what? I want 301 and all your other thirds and a 4th.
Want those thirds, buddy?
And guess what I got? Another Brown that's not on the thumbnail. Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones. So just, T-Rock, just understand where you're trying to gloat, there's levels to this shit, as Meek would say, going back to Philly,
He's talking to 2 of the OG tankers and draft pick hoarders. Why, we're supposed to be impressed.
I will say in Fade the Fetal, he's impressed me, but he took everything we said and implemented it to the 10th degree, and that team is going to be stupid. Yeah.
Back to reality, T-Rock.
Eric was saying the Browns wanted more back in 21 too. He meant to put two O's in there. So hopefully they got a plan for him. I mean, they do. I mean, they're not acquiring him not to use him. I think you're going to see a lot less 12 personnel this year, which opens up Elijah Moore being in there all the time. So
keep that shitty second tight end off the field, please.
Yeah, I would really appreciate that. It's not fun to watch.
No, please no.
Pump for this new pipeline league starting tomorrow in the DD Discord. I don't know about this. Do you know about this?
No, I just caught bits and pieces, man. Not too sure about it. I'm not a part of it. I just finally got into a USFL league that Scott, Eric, and Ray had put together, and that has been a blast. I know I've been in DMs with you, Adam, talking about it and the strategies behind it. Definitely something different. It's kind of crazy that I have to do it on MFL, but MFL is the only platform you can do it on. Sleeper's kind of lacking in the customization part of being able to do something awesome like that. But the league will be transitioned over to Sleeper once the rosters are done. But Pipeline League sounds fill us in, Barry.
Yeah, tell us in the comments. Talk to us about it. Who is number 89 in the Browns? Unless it's a retired number, I don't think it's anybody because I know Harrison Bryant's 88, but I don't think we have an 89.
I don't want any 89s. 89's an ugly number.
Yeah,
How about that for
the
analytics?
80s as a whole are becoming a lot less frequent of receiver
Didn't
numbers.
wasn't that Tony's number when he was on the Giants, 89?
Sure was.
Yeah, that was kind of gross.
And then he went to 19, right?
Yeah, 89 was gross, not going to lie.
Speaking
Adam,
of, I know Mike hates the 80 wide receiver numbers, especially close to 88 because he's seen them his whole life.
how low on your list, right? So you're a wide receiver in the NFL. You got your choice of numbers.
Love it.
Where's 89 on the list of numbers you can wear, right? You get 1 through 19 and you get 80.
Well, nowadays you
89.
get 0 through
They don't
10,
get zeros
9.
yet in the NFL.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1 through 9. Correct. Sorry. But they get all the single digits too now.
That's why I said you get 1 through 19.
Oh, you said
or
1.
you
Okay.
get 80 through 89. Where's 89 on your list?
I'm gonna take the single digits first. I'm gonna take the teens second, and then when I get to the 80s, it's
Is there
gonna
even
be
a teen number that's as gross as 89?
89 will be my last number, so that would make what it would be my 30th choice.
It'd be the last one, right?
Yep.
Like I'd take 80, 81, 82,
29th choice, yeah.
83 I could get behind. 84 is a dope number for a receiver. I think of me personally when I see 84. I know Randy Moss, but my first when I was young was Sterling Sharp, Shannon's older brother. Was actually fantastic at wide receiver too. I think he had some neck problems or something.
I had
too,
his jersey. I had a Sharp jersey.
He was awesome. 85, Ocho Cinco. That's what I think of. 86, I guess, is kind of a gross number for a wide receiver. Not too big on it. 87 is dope. 88 definitely is dope. 89 is horrible. There, number analytics for me.
I love this. The AMA became the number game. Pretty awesome stuff.
Is.
All right, if JSN is somehow the third or fourth receiver taken in the NFL draft, do we change our stance on taking him at wide receiver 1 in rookie draft? We've seen stranger things happen. The answer is no. The answer is unequivocally no for me.
Unless by third or fourth you mean like for some reason he's a second round pick or an early second round where all these other guys went in the first. Yes. I will update based on NFL draft capital.
There's I think it's highly unlikely he's not a first round pick. So
if he
falls out of the first round, though, probably.
Let's say he's the third one, right? Daniel Jeremiah has been on it for a while about Jalen Hyatt being the number one receiver in this class, and that's who he thinks is going to go first. Mm-hmm. Because Jalen Hyatt does something that none of these other receivers really do. Like he has a specific skill set that's comparable to like Deshaun Jackson, where it's speed, and teams will reach on that kind of player because they know he fits into a specific role. So say it's like Hyatt. And then say it's Quentin Johnson, and we're talking about two guys that go in the teens, and JSN is in the late 20s. JSN's still my wide receiver 1. Now, the difference is if it's JSN's the third receiver off the board and it is into the mid part of the second round, I got to adjust, man. I have to. But he's still really good at football. It'll be hard, but I will adjust.
The only way I'm taking him out of my wide receiver 1 spot is if he's a second round pick. And then I'll say this, because this receiver class is not the greatest, even then, I'd have to know where basically Addison and Johnson went to.
Right.
Otherwise, he might still stay at receiver 1. So, yeah, I think it's nice to get the high end draft capital, right? The top 10 pick, top 12 picks, but if he's pick 20, it doesn't change it for me. He's still got the draft capital.
Right, and you start getting down into some of those lower picks, right? You're talking about the landing spot all of a sudden becomes better. You know what I mean? Like Drake London was awesome, and it was good to see him get the draft capital last year, but we can all agree the landing spot was horrible. The situation was horrible. What happens, Drake London goes in the 30s to Kansas City. Like, how much did that change the conversation?
You know what? This is an interesting one. I just did a quick little video with Scott Connor before this. He's going to be putting on his Patreon, Dynasty and Chill, if you're interested in checking him out. One of the best in the game. So I will plug his Patreon, Destination Devy. A very few, but I would plug them on our own feed. And he had some questions from Q&A that he had left over, and we went over one of them. And it's funny because it tied into a Patreon question that I got this weekend, Mike. So I was on the clock at 106 in a draft, and Will Levis actually went at 105. So it was Bijan and the 4 quarterbacks, right? So now I'm at a decision of JSN and Gibbs. And the question that Scott had left over was first-round receivers. And first-round receivers, should they get to, because they get NFL first-round draft capital, should they become more desirable, almost like the top 7 picks because of just having the draft capital? We dug into that a little bit, but like with JSN specifically, see, this is the difference between, let's say, like Zay Flowers goes in the first round. Let's say, like, Josh Downs. Let's say, I don't think he's mocked to, but somehow Marvin Mims was, right? Those players don't have the dynasty allure, and everybody's just really, really high on them. So what happens with that is, like, look at Kadarius Toney, right? Look at Jahan Dotson right now. Look at even Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith had to fight it for 2 years to get everyone to buy in, right? The floor is not the same for those receivers if they don't have that high-end upside as far as like what the dynasty community thinks of them. Look at Drake London, though. Drake London had a good season, but not a great one. Nothing that, helped people win leagues for damn sure. He stayed even. Why? Everybody loves the name. The landing spot. They still don't care that there's not a quarterback in Atlanta. They still don't care that there might not be one next season, right? Like, that's the big difference. And then, so the reason that that's so important, 105, like, I'm on the clock at 106, and it's between him and Gibbs, JSN and Gibbs. And somebody else asked me right after I took JSN, was that as tough for you as it was for me in another league that just drafted the same weekend? It was Big Corey. Shout out to Big Corey if you're here. He was like, was that as tough for you as it was for me? Because he ended up taking Gibbs. And I said, listen, like, it's close. I want them both. But the reason I took JSN is everybody loves the name. Like, I see Drake London and what he did last year, and I see JSN having that same, like, he's got that same grace period because of who he is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where he's not going to fall. But if he does go to a landing spot and smashes, you got Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson type ceiling, So, like, that's a big difference where Gibbs, I love him. He might be a PPR cheat code, but if he doesn't play well or if he gets hurt in his rookie year, the floor is not going to be the same for that type of a player.
Well, we're seeing it right now with this class with Kayshon Boutte. I mean, he had a horrendous combine. Horrific. He actually had a pretty horrendous last year in college, right? A lot of character concerns, work ethic concerns. Did he quit on his team, right? Pretty bad. Still, Adam, I sit there and I struggle in these drafts we're doing in the mid to late part of the second round, going like, what if he's actually really good at football? What if this is all just superficial? But I only do it with a guy like Boutte who has that name value already built up going into it. If Cedric Tillman had a horrible combine, do you think I even think about drafting him where he's going? No, like, he's off my radar. It's done. It's over with. He didn't have the hype going in. It's the same thing, but just to a little bit of a lesser degree. Like, the only thing really keeping Boutte where he's at, in my mind, even me trying to put the stuff aside, drafting him is name value and love that we had beforehand. And we kind of overlook some of the other stuff because we're like, well, he was really good here. Look at that freshman year. These other guys, if it happens to them, it doesn't matter. You throw them to the wind, man. They're dead. They're over with. They drop like a rock. So I get the JSN thing too, because it's like, even if he doesn't really get the draft capital, even if like he didn't have that great of a combine, we were still going to push him up. He was still going to be up there in a lot of people's minds.
That's the point. Yep. We got people piling in here. Chris Timmons, good evening, guys. Appreciate you hopping in. Ewok Village, guy I play in a league with. Ryan, appreciate you hopping in. We got a bunch of questions coming up as well. 12-team Superflex, no tight end premium. Rashad White in the 111 or Christian Watson and Samaje Perine?
Give me Rashad White in the 111.
Easily.
Easily.
Yep. All right, let's see what else we got. Oh, he said lineup, by the way. Yeah, it actually probably doesn't matter for me because it's 2 for 2, right? Like, if it's best baller lineup, and 2 for 2 doesn't really mean that much.
I'll take the 111 over Christian Watson, and I'm sure as hell taking Rashad
White over Perine.
Even though I talk shit about Rashad White all the time. I'm not that crazy.
Mike's crazy. He just ain't that crazy. How are we feeling about Elijah Moore now? Any regret on selling for any second? Well, I would say this, yes. If I sold, I haven't. I used to say this when he was going to stay on the Jets, and then as we're seeing receivers pile up over there, I'd sell for the 212. Problem was I wasn't even seeing that happen. I didn't actually get that. But I would have regretted it today. Yes, if I just got the 212 for Elijah Moore, I would have regretted that today. Right now, no, don't sell for any second. I would say
what would you buy for?
I would go up to probably like 206, and that's probably my cutoff.
I think it's about right.
Yeah, just because like 203, 204 range, you're still either getting a really valuable running back, or I'm basically kind of resetting the clock on Elijah Moore. Like I'm getting a Josh Downs, I'm getting a Zay Flowers, I'm getting, Mike even will probably at that point take a Hendon Hooker, so he gets a quarterback shot,
So I rank Elijah Moore higher than some of those like 111, 112, 201, 202 type players. But then we get into the whole conversation about what's more valuable in my leagues, and the pick is going to be more valuable in my leagues. Like I have more suitors. I got to find another Adam. I got to find another Elijah Moore truther in order to extract that value. So I'm kind of with you. I think about the 205, 206 is a good spot. Like if I could send that away, I'd buy Elijah. I'd take my shots.
Yeah, you got rookie hype season right now, right? That's a big thing. But then also, like even if you fast forwarded, and I liked Elijah Moore a bunch, and then he goes to Cleveland. So now it's like, all right, now you're just toying with me, right? Now he's on my team. But you still got to keep in mind what we talked about earlier, getting ahead of yourself. If he doesn't do anything this year, it gets scary for him, right? And the Josh Downs type maybe doesn't have the upside. I mean, we don't even know that yet. We don't know where he's going. But he has more baked in time to screw up. Like Elijah Moore doesn't have that anymore. So that's part of the reset too.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
All right, so let's see. I grabbed Watson in a startup last year as a part of a productive struggle. Worked too well. Got the 101.
That worked out perfectly.
It worked out very well. Love to hear what you're doing with that, Steven, by the way. Good evening, gents.
Enjoy the fact you basically got 2 first-round startup picks now.
Yeah. Good evening, gents. Love the show. Appreciate that. 12-team Superflex start 9 lineup. Russ plus a 24 first for Watson. I currently have Dak, Russ, and Mayfield on a competing roster. Mike, how do you feel about this? Lineup start 9. Man, how do you feel about this? I'll let you go first. I got a bunch of thoughts here.
Man, this is tough. Is it... If it's my 24 first, it really hurts. Because I want to keep that so badly.
100%.
I want to keep it so badly. I think it's a fair enough, just generic, right? Like a Russ and a random 24 first and a start 9, yes, I want to upgrade to Watson. But if it's my first right now, I mean, we're just about to April. We're still a good 5 months before actual football gets played. I think I just hold on to Russ in my first. What says you, buddy?
Yeah. Lineup start 9 makes this pretty tough because in lineup start 9, the price is very, very reasonable to go get Watson. It's just the truth. Because the top 12 quarterbacks are so impossible to acquire in lineup start 9. They're just... You don't want to ever do it because it costs so much. Like if that's your only league, that's what you know. But if you play in a bunch of different crazy type leagues, you go to make that trade in the lineup start 9, you're like, this feels horrible. I hate this price tag. So like price wise, it's not that bad. But let me say why I think I'm not doing this. There's a couple reasons. So you're already going to consolidate your 24 first and Russ into Watson. So now you got Dak and Watson, right? But you got 2 of the top 12 that are the back end, right? Like they're good, but people are worried about them. And then Mayfield's all you got left. So you don't have a lot of depth if somebody gets hurt, right? Like if Dak gets hurt, which we've seen a bunch, if Watson gets hurt, you don't have any depth. Now the problem there, and the reason I say this, I have a league, which this happened to me last year, and I can tell you from experience I wouldn't do this on this specific reason. So I had Dak Prescott and Matthew Stafford last year in the league, which, believe it or not, as much as Stafford sucks now, he was being drafted like much higher than Russ was. Much higher than Russ is right now, right?
Yeah.
They were being drafted at the same point, though, right?
About the 3rd round.
So Dak and Matt Stafford last year are basically like the same thing. right? So I had this, and I forget who my third quarterback was like really low. That gets hurt right away, right? So now I'm Matthew Stafford only, and the Rams stink, and Matthew Stafford stink, and then he gets hurt. So this team that's juggernauted everywhere. It was the 4th overall pick, and I missed the playoffs. So lineup start 9, the other problem is if you don't have depth, or if you don't actually have one of these 2 quarterbacks and they get hurt, it's going to kill you, because that's where the edges are won in these leagues, is by having the stacked quarterbacks. You don't have a third that makes me say, you know what, you could afford to risk this.
I think if I could substitute my 24 first in this equation for an actual player, I would do it in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? Like
I'm more liable to send somebody else's 20. If you have 2, I'll send someone else's that's maybe looking like a good team.
Unless it's somebody else who's like horrible. Absolutely.
Yeah, don't send a top 3 pick that you
like
think
if you
is
got
great.
if you got that guy in your league where you're like, this dude never finishes better than like
no
4th to last.
I'm talking about another team in your league that's like looking really good. All right, I'll send you his instead of mine, just for the flexibility purposes.
Preferably, yeah. I just want to keep it in case something bad happens, right?
So I guess that's the thing. If you have multiple, and you can send a 24 first from someone else's team that looks pretty good, I'd prefer to do that. I'll say I'd rather try to get a player in a first range, because the same thing I'm talking about could happen to that other team as well, and you want as many shots in a lineup start 9 to do what? Get another quarterback. So you want to have as many that can go to the top 5 picks in that as possible. That was a heavy breakdown, but I felt like it was one that we could get into pretty heavy. Good
one.
Yeah.
We get more details on the teams, right? Lineup.
Yeah. By the way, John, John, if you want to put in the comments for follow up, what picks you have in 24, what your team really looks like, that would help with full context, because I think value-wise, I would do this. Like, I would basically send Russ and a first player, a first type in value.
Right.
But the problem with that consolidation is if it's your own and you risk that can really come back to bite you in the end.
If this is just a random that comes across the trade show, we're like, oh, yeah. Like, in a start 9, give me Watson over Russ in the first.
Exactly.
But you dive a little bit deeper into it. Whose first is it? The whole kind of thing. What's the rest of your quarterback room? You can break it down multiple ways. And I think with what he gave us so far, I'm like, I think I'm passing. Not that I don't want to kill the deal, but I'm going to try to work it a different way where it doesn't involve my pick.
New patron here. Woo! 12-team, half PPR, lineup start 8. Woo. Is this Superflex or 1 QB? X to the next GS. Because lineup start 8 if it's Superflex. Holy hell. Anyway, I give Swift and Christian Watson, and I get Amon-Ra St. Brown. I guess it's not really that mad. It doesn't matter because the picks aren't involved. I'm out of the Swift business, and I only have one owner willing to take him. Mike, I'll tell you what. Lineup start 8, I want to do this. I really do. Because
I want to consolidate to Amon-Ra.
Yep. I want to consolidate as it is because it's a shallow starters. And as much as you and I love Swift, and Dynasty Alex has been in here kind of clowning my Browns. Appreciate you, Dynasty Alex. He is in, agony, but we all admit, like, it's just not good for DeAndre Swift. He's never really given us, outside of what was that, his second year? Yeah, second year he was coming along really well until he got hurt. But he's never given us what we hoped he would be. And right
up till Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving. Yeah, well, he got hurt. He got hurt initially in the snow crazy game versus Pittsburgh. They gave him 30 carries. Like, okay, we want you to give DeAndre Swift work, but 30 carries, like, why are you doing that to him? It kind of banged up his shoulder, and then on Thanksgiving, he got tackled on it again, and it was really bad. And that basically ended his dynasty career as we know it. Point is, we all want to get out of the Swift business, but it's getting tough to. Like, his value is not DeAndre Swift of old. So if I can consolidate him and Christian Watson to go get Amon-Ra St. Brown, who Mike and I both believe are top 10 receivers, patreon.com/South Harmon. You can see our rankings. What do we have him at? Probably like 9 or 10, 8, yeah, something high.
He's high up there. He's really high.
You and I think we're in agreement on him is very, very high. So point is, in lineup start 8, you want to consolidate because you want top 10 guys, as many as you can have. I'm all aboard this. This is a great trade. Great trade.
Yeah. I got him at 6, buddy. That's where he's
Where am I at? Where am I at?
Amon-Ra here is sitting at 7 for you.
Okay, so yeah, basically same thing. So that puts us at a consensus 6.5. Pretty
good.
high.
Not too bad.
We will take this. And the thing is, Mike, when you say that, right? Like if you think about consensus receivers 6.5, I think the only reason you can make this trade is because it's Amon-Ra St. Brown who has 4th round draft capital, and people are, even though they shouldn't be, are still unsure, right? Jameson Williams is coming back. There's just people will always be worried about that day 3 capital. If this is, AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson, I don't think this gets done. So I love this trade for him.
I mean, Amon-Ra is also one of those guys that really moves the needle as far as points per game goes, too. I mean, we saw it in spurts to end his rookie year, and then we saw it carry over last year. Anytime you're finishing right around that 16, 17 fantasy points per game at the wide receiver position, I'm going to pay attention. So I don't know. With J-Mo coming back, people also just kind of think like Amon-Ra is going to go by the wayside. So I think they devalue him a little bit. I don't actually think it's a bad thing for him. Like we saw when DJ Chark was healthy, Amon-Ra was actually better because it's like there's another guy to kind of stretch the field, take a little bit of pressure off of him. And especially when Hawk got traded, it was Amon-Ra's territory. Now I don't have that tight end work in the middle. This is my spot. So I'll take Amon-Ra here pretty easily.
Yep. All right. Garrett Wilson or A-Rich straight up. Let's get greasy.
Man.
Kaylin O'Connor, appreciate the question. This is nut cutting time, man. It's time to keep it real. I know T-Rock is in here somewhere being very upset. He was on Savage Semester last week talking about Garrett Wilson is worth 2 firsts and 2 seconds to him. Easy. I'm just.
What happens when I'm not here?
Mike, I'm just the messenger. I can't. You know what happens when you're not here? I can't control a whole school full of people, man. They're out here chaos. They're not listening.
Garrett Wilson is very good, but I'm going to take the quarterback. Superflex league. Give me the quarterback.
I'm not going to get too big in the breakdown here, but I'm going to take the most athletic quarterback that we have ever put our eyes on over Garrett Wilson. And I love Garrett Wilson, Ohio State guy. I told Mike for a while that it's, wide receiver 1 in this class before the draft happened, and still today. He still has it as Olave, but he's a top 5 receiver for a lot of people. Like that's crazy. That's very valuable. But Anthony Richardson's upside, let me say this. Part of the reason it's going to be tough to trade Wilson directly straight up for Anthony Richardson is you don't know what he's going to be. He's an enigma. But his upside, it far outweighs whatever Garrett Wilson could become.
Anybody who's been in on Trey Lance, which is pretty much the entire community for the last couple of years, knows that Anthony Richardson really doesn't even have to do anything. He gets the draft capital, and those athletic traits will talk nothing about his upside. But that's all we'll talk about. We don't even have to see anything on the field. So from a value standpoint,
but
quarterback, athletic traits.
From a value standpoint,
the enigma,
yes.
Give me the quarterback.
From a value standpoint, that's already there. But think about this, again, with Anthony Richardson. The most athletic quarterback we've ever seen. Justin Fields was in scary territory the beginning of this year because he wasn't doing much. But then we saw, how many times? 70, 80-yard touchdown runs.
Yeah.
On top of good running performances.
Listen, I'll put an asterisk behind that most athletic we've ever seen, right? While it's factually true, we never got to see Lamar or Michael Vick run in an official capacity.
Agreed. But we also, we never saw either one of those guys, and Lamar's been hurt these last 2 years. We never saw them be 240 and jumping like him and doing like this is a freak. This is a freak.
Speed score is going to look very good.
They can't even if they're faster, even if they have a faster 40, they're not 240 and could run up the goal line like him. Like they're not. They don't have that.
How the speed score measure out. I need DB. Make me up
again. Even if Michael Vick and Lamar are faster in the 40, they're not as total athletic as him. Like he is. He has the total package, man. It's crazy. I mean, but that's athleticism. It may not come to fruition, but if I'm going to bet on something, that's what I want to bet on. So I'm taking A-Rich. And I said I wasn't going to do too much of this, but Mike forced my hand. So here we go. Here we are. Rocking with South Harmon crew on a fine Sunday evening. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it, Scott. Yeah.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Appreciate that, Scott. All right. 302 or Cole Kmet in 10-team Superflex tight end premium. 10 teams. So that 302 becomes more like 210 in the 12-team league.
Man.
Are you worried about Kmet?
Man. Not worried. Bob Tunyon signing there, I mean, he just may be dust. So I'm not like petrified on it. I would have liked to see Kmet do more. The whole offense was kind of bad outside of Justin Fields running. But the one thing we gave Cole Kmet shit for his rookie year that he didn't do was he didn't catch touchdowns, right? He didn't do anything. Didn't catch a single one. He got 7 last year. So I'm not really worried. I think I want the pick, though. I mean,
why?
Worst case scenario, you replace Cole Kmet with some other rookie tight end.
Well, but can I tell you what's problematic about that though too? Just to give context, is the rookie tight end hype is exploitable stuff to trade out of, but it's also if you have a rookie that doesn't do anything, and like at this point you're probably drafting tight end 3 or 4, right? Maybe 5 even if it's tight end premium. If they do nothing out of the box, like you may not get to Cole Kmet rank. Cole Kmet has given spike weeks at the tight end position.
Yeah.
So you may never actually replace the value of Cole Kmet. To your point, yes, the pick can give you at minimum, I don't know, 302 in this league. You're probably getting, you're going to get at least Sam Laporta. You might get Luke Musgrave. You might get Darnell Washington or whatever.
I mean, it is a little bit concerning, right? So when I talk about it, right, his rookie year, 44 targets, 2 touchdowns. 2021, targets went up, 93 of them, which was awesome, which is also kind of
not a lot of greatness, though.
No touchdowns. Last year, the targets went down. Same amount of games played, 69 targets, but he caught 7 touchdowns. So it's kind of a tight end dependent tight end.
Yeah, touchdown.
Give me the pick. Give me the pick, though. I mean, we've been doing these pre NFL drafts for real money going on. I think we're doing 5 or 6 of them right now. I like what's in there in these 12-team leagues in the mid to back part of the second round, and that's kind of where this pick's going to fall in a 10-team. So give me the shot at one of those guys.
Goodness gracious. Mike, we are at 81 concurrent
cow.
streamers. We are also at 48 minutes. Mike and I – all right, so Mike's working a crazy schedule, and – when we get to do content together, it's kind of like you might do with some of your shows. Mike and I binge create content because of the crazy schedule. So we have to do all 3. We basically have to do a week's work of work.
Don't worry about it. This
today.
week we have a normal schedule, so if we got to move some stuff around, we're here for the people.
No, it's cool. No, I'm here. I'm with you. But the reason I'm highlighting that is I'm seeing and I'm starring the questions as they come in, and they are flowing. So
baby,
we'll answer as many as we can. We'll try to get them all in. If you really want it, your question, you got something you have to have answered.
that super chat
drop
button.
a super chat is there. We'll go as long as we can. We still have to finish the trade show and do 40 chess after this. And in Ohio, it's 10:20. So, and someone has to work tomorrow, both of us. So, all right, let's get to questions. Anyway, okay. Speaking of Elijah Moore, got a guy in my league. Went to the ship last year starting Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb, David Njoku every week, and now has Moore getting traded to the Browns. Man, this is like if you're local, you may know this. Otherwise, you may not have heard of it. Building the Browns. It's a show. This is like building the Browns right here. Josh Allen and Mahomes are his QBs. I'll say this, though. The reason he's winning, Fizzle, isn't because of all the Browns, as much as I want to say. You got Josh Allen and Mahomes, man. Stop it. Yeah, I don't care what you have in there. You could have put Elijah Moore and the Jets in your lineup, and you're fine. You know,
he was doing all right with Josh Allen and Mahomes for sure.
Goodness gracious, that is. If you have those 2 in Superflex, wow. All right, Barry is adding context. It's a USFL style league, like you guys are doing, but wrinkle on this one is we are getting a school to own and roster players. Oh, that's really cool. Hold on, you got more to it. You go into the auction hampered by how much you spend on your pipeline, blind bids on pipelines. That's pretty dope. That is see, people are coming up with some crazy stuff. That is a
Man, you'd really have to do some research into like the last, like, say, like 4 or 5 draft classes, which schools send in the most fantasy.
Well, we already know it's 2 schools that everybody wants.
Alabama.
And Georgia.
And Ohio State.
Well, Georgia too. Look at Georgia.
I guess those 3 you'd really put up there. Or if you're trying to play the game for next year, you're like, Caleb Williams on USC.
Right, and you'll take USC for Caleb Williams, but what have they done, like, school-wise relative to those guys? They've got some guys. I'm not saying they don't, but
Drizzy?
Like,
come on, that'd be fine.
I'm not saying it's a bad one again, but they don't match up to Ohio State and Bama and Georgia.
You know, if Ray's in that league, he's been the shit out of USC. DB, use it against him.
Make him overpay.
Make it hurt it. He's got to hurt it. He wants his Trojans. Make him hurt it. I
love what I'm hearing. This is why AMA is so fun. I just love discourse and playing with people on here. 12 team Superflex, best ball start 10 is Dak, Brees, Khalil Herbert, Taysom Hill. So remove Khalil Herbert and Taysom Hill. For Burrow, Akers, oh my gosh. Yeah, I want Burrow side here.
Dak, Brees, Khalil Herbert.
Dude, it's Burrow, Akers, Terry McLaurin, and then Madison.
I don't really give a shit about the Madison Taysom Hill thing.
Okay. It's McLaurin over Herbert by a lot.
I'll take Terry McLaurin over Khalil Herbert.
It's Brees over Akers by a good bit. But it's Burrow over Dak as the thing that matters the most as the whole piece.
Yeah, I'll take the tier down at the running back, essentially. To tier up at quarterback and your third piece.
Listen, the one thing in best ball, let me say, you know what, this question made me think about putting it in a very concise way. In best ball, tiering up is very problematic. I actually said this in the trade show. But if I'm going to tier up, it's going to be for a Joe Burrow. It's going to be for Joe Burrow. And I'll be honest, Mike. In best ball, I will send Dak, Brees, Khalil Herbert, and Taysom Hill for Joe Burrow alone. Even in best ball, I would do that.
What?
Yeah, absolutely.
What?
Joe Burrow? Yes.
Damn, man.
Yes, I would do that, man. I love Brees Hall, but I can replace his points much, much differently. I cannot replace Joe Burrow's points. Mike has that look. Mike, go find it. Find it in one of our leagues. We got 20-something leagues. Send me the offer, and I'll hit the button. All right.
We'll find something similar. I got to.
I'll hit the button now. Well, here, let me tell for everybody here. We almost got 76 people in here. Understand, when I get an offer in my inbox, it's not going to be the inbox special that I got on the trade show you're going to watch in a week.
No.
All right. Mike's going to send something that he's going to claim is like this. It's not going to be this. All right. But
I love the super chat. It's the greatest thing ever.
Oh, I got to get to a super chat. Any recommendation, tier down options if I'm looking to move off of Waddle and Amon-Ra St. Brown? A lot of them. John, let me get to the super chat and I'll get back to your question. Didn't see a super chat yet. 40 for life. Adam, make your pick and shit 4. You're on the clock. Castle Black, I'm sorry. You know, we're doing four rookie drafts, and I got all the picks in all of them. I don't know what you want from me. All right. We also have a new patron, just joined right now. FF Lefty. Damn. I don't know if you're in the. He
is. He just typed it here.
Oh, beautiful.
Love it.
There we go, man.
Just typed it.
New shithead.
What's up,
remember
man?
This
Welcome
guy. In. Love to have it, man. Love to see it. All right. So let's get back to that question, Mike. I don't know if it was Waddle and someone else on tier down options.
What tier down off of Waddle and Amon-Ra? We had kind of a similar question. Was it last week? I think it was last week, actually, about T. Higgins. Same kind of things apply to him. I'm pretty much good down to like Chris Godwin. I will tier down to one of those receivers and try to get a first, like in that tier.
100%.
So it's like
100%.
Godwin, Christian Kirk, Amari Cooper, the rookies, the big rookies in this class: Quentin Johnson, Jordan Addison, Treylon, Debo, Terry McLaurin, like those kind of guys. For me, you give me a first, I'll go down that far. Any of those guys really in the next tier, like I'm pretty cool with if I can get like a second. You know what I mean? Like Chris Olave, Smitty, Devontae Adams, Drake London, Cooper Kupp. Maybe the older guys aren't your cup of tea or don't fit your team build, so you can kind of just ignore those. But if anybody give me a second and like Chris Olave for my Waddle or Amon-Ra, as much as I love Amon-Ra, we just talked him up. Like I'm going to take that.
I think one of the favorites for Mike and myself to get to, which probably gets done in most leagues. Now, lineup size, if it's lineup or best ball, how many starters, that matters. But I think one that's really fairly easily done that makes a lot of sense is Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, that's
Brandon Ayuk in a first. I think, and the reason I say that is because if you try to go up higher from that, like a lot of times you'll get to what Mike talks about, where they really love that receiver still. So it's like I'll give you a second. Well, no,
right?
Nah, I'm not taking DJ Moore in a second. No, you can get lost. But Brandon Ayuk, I think for a lot of people is like you're far enough down. Here you go, 24 first. Like those are the type of tier guys where I think they're a little devalued. They're still really good in points per game.
Yeah.
But you also get the liquid first, which can be complete liquid gold. So that's what I'm.
We got a clear tier 1 of wide receivers, and Sky Connor, who's in the chat, talked about it a lot. Where it's like it's the first two guys, and then it's a pretty flat tier of like a big group of the next guys. Where you're kind of like any one of these guys, I could see being that wide receiver 5, wide receiver 8, wide receiver 13. Like they could all slot in this range at any given spot. So I'm pretty comfortable playing in it. I did break them off into tiers, but the second tier is pretty big for both Adam and I. The third tier is really just kind of, those Olaves, those Devontae Smith types. And then that tier that comes right after those wide receiver 2 types in quotes, that's another really big tier. Those are the tiers that I kind of want to stay in and play if I'm going to move off of that second tier of guy.
Right.
And I'm pretty comfortable in there getting a lot of different things back. Ideally, you try to go down as far as you're comfortable with and get that first. Or the conversely, if it's possible, you stay within the tier and you get a second. Give me anything. I'm good with it.
Yeah, so like Olave in a second, like you already mentioned, right?
Right.
Yep. All right. Hope that answers it for you, John. So let's see. All right. Corey says, good evening, guys. What do you think my team in shit auction for spending 64% of original budget on Hurts Burrow? I'll tell you what. Mike, I'm going to pull up another question. Corey, I'm going to look over this team for you, and we'll discuss
auction for. All right, so he's rocking.
Oh, you got it up?
Joe
right,
Burrow.
cool.
Yeah, he's rocking Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, like you mentioned. Third quarterback's going to be Baker and Trask, Jacoby Brissett. So he's got a decent enough quarterback room right off the bat. We talk about roster construction series. Like that's a way to construct a best ball roster right there. Running backs, Najee, Eckler. Man, he's got a pretty strong best ball team, Adam. I'm not going to lie. This isn't too bad. This isn't too bad. DK Metcalf, McLaurin, Mike Evans, Tyler Boyd. He's got some wide receivers around there. And tight ends are pretty much just god-awful. Yeah.
Is it one or two tight end starters?
It's one tight end. So this is we start one of each position and then a bunch of flexes.
That's fine.
So
I can live with dog shit tight end if I got a really good team, right?
And it's not as dog shit as you know me, how I like to get, right? It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not
like he's got like Noah Fant, Higbee, and Jake Ferguson. I would go even shittier because I'm horrible. Yeah, this is actually a pretty strong team that he's got here. I like what he did. 64% of his budget on 2 quarterbacks. And he still made out with a pretty decent squad going through. What's probably going to hurt him is like his end of his bench, but those are dudes that you just churn anyways. I think it's 35-man rosters, so like the Chris Moores and the Braxton Berrios and DeMarcus Robinsons, right? The minute you find out they don't have any real value, you just kick those dudes at the curb, churn the next dudes. Good team. Good draft, Corey. Did well in the auction. Unlike some of us who spent all our money on quarterbacks and quarterbacks alone.
We got a good question from a good patron.
No, no one said Herbert. Move on. Justin Herbert.
We talked about Justin Herbert quite a bit. The trade show here. Yeah, we said, Justin Herbert. He was one of the 5 guys that we would not trade away for Kyler Murray in 101. Actually, I think was what it was specifically.
That's it.
So, yeah.
Good question, Zach.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we did talk about Justin Herbert. So, all right, 12 teams, Superflex, start 9, ETN, OBJ, in early 24-second projected, or Debo, Mostert, late 24 first. I'm loaded at wide receiver with Chase, Lamb, Tyreek, and Drake London, struggling at running back. So, are you trying to get ETN? Mike, let me ask you this. So, it's ETN. OBJ for me in a lineup start 9 is
no thanks.
Roster clogger, irrelevant. I'd put him to waivers. You can check. I do not have a lineup start 9 league where he's on a team of mine. I don't care. Early 24 second, I'd say this. I would much rather have a late 24 first projected than an early 24 second projected. And the reason why is in lineup start 9, an early 24 second projected, you're buying it at what it is. It can't go past 201. It's locked in there. A late 24 first can become a mid to early 24 first like I talked about earlier. So that piece outweighs it by a lot. Debo and Mostert. Mike, what do you think here, man?
Debo and ETN, I will give it to the ETN side.
Yep.
Mostert and OBJ, OBJ is irrelevant, but Mostert still carries some value. Start 9, not as much, but
I'll take him over OBJ because you could just put him in 1 week maybe. You might
buy a start, right?
Yep.
And the late 24 first, way over the early 24 second for what you're saying. So I want the Debo Mostert late 24 first side. And also, if this is your 24 first, I get projected that it's late, but I want to keep the flexibility of my own
And you
pick.
don't, if you're going to, it's the other thing,
doing it
Mike.
now.
If you're gonna send away your first and give away your flexibility, don't do it for Travis Etienne. That's not going to be the difference maker that makes.
Oh, thanks.
Nah, yeah.
I get it though. Like Debo's a hard one to trade. Not a lot of people like him, but
his market sucks. And honestly, I'm becoming, after talking to Eric Armstead, not that he's not good, but like, you know, he said that Brandon Ayuk is one of the best route runners he's ever seen. And he's like, Debo's great still, but you just get him the ball and get out of his way. For fantasy purposes, I like a lot more what I'm hearing about Brandon Ayuk than I do Debo. And it's mainly because, like, now you got Kittle, who's been healthy for a long time. Christian McCaffrey's there, right? Like, there's a lot of weapons in an offense. So you can't just necessarily give the ball to Debo quickly, like 15 times.
You're not forced to like they have been in the past. Right?
Exactly, right?
He wasn't the only weapon anymore. So
exactly right. Yeah. So that's kind of the reason I say that. Anyway, all right. Here you go. Appreciate the breakdown, gents. For full context, here's the squad. Quarterbacks, Dak, Russ, Mayfield. Running backs, JT, Akers, P. Ryan. Jefferson, A.J. Brown, D.K. Sutton. Pretty good receivers. Tight ends, Knock, Gesicki, number 23 picks, all 24 and 25 picks. So he's got his normal set of picks. I'll be honest with you, John. I'm not doing that trade.
Yeah, I'm keeping him.
This team is good. I'm not talking shit about your team, but it doesn't in any position have the depth to where, like, just think about this in line. Mike and I say this all the time when we do team reviews. Patreon.com/South Harmon. Take away for a second. Just think about it this way. Everybody listening to, if this was your team, take away some of the pieces. Okay, so in the season, let's say JT's out for the year. Let's say Russ gets hurt out for the year. You could do that even not at the same time, but if Russ goes out for the year, this team is in a problem. If JT goes out for the year, running back, this team is in a problem. Justin Jefferson goes out for the year, this team is in a problem. You don't have enough depth to say one of these injuries makes your first guaranteed to be late. And Deshaun Watson can still get hurt. So that's why I say keep the pick and Russ, because Russ is criminally undervalued right now, it feels like. Is he going to give you what Watson can in points per game and long-term dynasty value? Maybe not. But he's still pretty good. He had 4 spike weeks last year. You know, like I'm not doing that trade.
I like it.
Are you on board?
I'm with you, man.
Are you?
I'm on board. I'm keeping Russ in my pick, especially right now.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe how many comments are in here. Like, this is crazy. I'm just scrolling like, oh my goodness.
We got 90 people watching live right now.
Yeah, 20.
That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone tapping in. 12 teams, start 7. One quarterback.
Holy cow. They get smaller.
One quarterback. So one quarterback is only one QB versus 6 skill players. But the skill players, consolidation is massive here. So give 105, 107, 108, and Sanders get 101. Yep.
Yeah. See ya.
I do it. We're starting 6 players. There you go, Mike.
6 players outside the quarterback.
Give me Bijan Robinson, because here's the thing: 105. Just think about 105 for a second on one quarterback.
Right.
It's out. JSN's gone. Gibbs is gone. Bijan's gone.
One
of the other receivers are gone.
Right. You're wide receiver 3.
It's Quentin Johnson.
Receiver 5.
It's Quentin Johnson or Jordan Addison. It's Michael Mayer. It's Zay Flowers.
And start 6 of them skill spots.
Bijan Robinson. Get 101.
Bijan Robinson. Yeah, you said all those picks. Send them away. Congratulations.
Get 101. There you go.
Yeah,
that's where you got to know your context, because if this is a Superflex start 12 team league, I have a hard time sending all that for Bijan Robinson.
It's like a start 11 1 QB league, right? That's kind of a common thing that's out there too.
Yeah, it's closer.
Where you got to start 10 skill guys. It's like a start
closer.
12 Superflex league for us. 10 skill guys where you're kind of like, man, I need some of these
tougher.
depths.
Yeah.
Right, getting wide receiver 3 and wide receiver 4 in this class and tight end 1 and RB 3 or whatever the hell the case may be. Like, man, I need some depth. But start 7, 6 of them skill guys, easy. Bijan.
Yep. Okay, Mr. B, AR over Garrett. So Anthony Richardson over Garrett Wilson. But if you say it's 104 or Garrett Wilson, I bet not many people are taking the 104 there. That's true, and because you can't guarantee Anthony Richardson's at 104. And I'll tell you, from the leagues that we've done 4, I think we've actually 4 this weekend and 5 total. We've actually drafted for real. I don't think Richardson makes it to 104 in any of them.
I have been keeping track so far, Adam. We've done 6 leagues.
There you go. So tell us. Is it 1 that he made it in?
1 time. And
there you go.
And you know who got him?
I'm gonna guess it's Mr. McNutted. So here's the thing.
Yeah, he's been number 1 3 times. He's been the 3rd pick once, the 2nd pick once, and the 5th pick once.
And yet, to this point, if Anthony Richardson is there on the clock, then you make the trade. But you don't have to do it right now, because 104 could very easily end up being Bryce Young, and that's a different conversation. I'm not saying people won't take Bryce ahead of Garrett Wilson, but that's a different conversation than Anthony Richardson.
Have that conversation. Bryce Young or Garrett Wilson? Who do you got? Stop it. Come on.
You taking Bryce?
Yeah, I'm taking Bryce.
I am too. It's tougher. It's tougher because I don't see
in the first round where I
Will
think
Levis.
It's like,
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think for Bryce Young, I'll still take him ahead because he's a quarterback and the way I play the quarterback Superflex market. We just coming off that one quarterback question, so think Superflex for a minute. But I think, Mike, for me anyway, and now I will admit this is probably wrong thinking. Like, I don't see the upside in Bryce Young as I do in Anthony Richardson. Part of the reason I say it's probably wrong thinking is because we've done this before with Justin Herbert. We've done this before with Josh Allen. We've done this before with quarterbacks that they don't have the ceiling. But Bryce Young, his size and stuff, like, I just look at Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray was great, man. He was great. Yes. And then look, right? Like, that I think is the problem for me with Bryce Young, is even if he is all that, is he ever going to be able to break what Kyler Murray's looking at, you know?
Yes. And you're talking about Kyler Murray now where we had the sour taste. There was a time Kyler Murray
was coming off the board at 102, 103, right?
Right. He's pushing he's pushing for the 101, right? Which was crazy.
I mean, I saw him go 101 in the draft. Yeah.
There
all right.
It is.
All right. We're going to answer questions for probably, another 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Sure.
And we got to get to it. All right.
Let's do 15
there you go.
and we'll bounce out
15 and we're out of here. So 10:40. All right. I'm watching the clock. Love everybody. Thank you for tapping in. We want to answer as many as we can, but we have a bunch of stuff to get to still tonight. So, all right, let's get to questions, though. Okay, I have the 101, the 103, the 107. Who would you pick? Starting lineup looks like Dak, quarterback 1, Kenneth Walker, running back 1, T, Komet. He's got J-Mo, Dotson, Pierce in the flexes. Oof, this team needs a lot, man. 101 and 103. So let me ask you this. Mike, this is actually a really good discussion with a team like this. And this is one of the problems and conundrums with Bijan, okay? So let me ask you this. You got this team. You got these picks. 101 and 103. Do you take the best quarterback in your view, risk Bijan being gone, and if someone takes him, now you got the 2 best quarterbacks in your view at 101 and 103, now you got 3 quarterbacks on this team? Or do you take Bijan Robinson and say, you know what, because I have 103, I'll take the second best quarterback and guarantee the top running back?
I take Bijan every time.
Really? Every time? No matter what your team looks like? Wow.
You yet to see me with the first pick take anybody but Bijan.
Interesting. Well, we're already on record disagreeing on that point. But I guess I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about this specific thing though. I'm talking about this specific thing. You don't have a very good quarterback room. So here's the thing. If you take Bijan, right? Now you got Ken Walker and Bijan.
Trade for the need.
I understand that, but you're on the clock. You haven't traded a 1-on-1 yet, and you may not be able to trade Bijan for all that. So the point is, if you do that, which you definitely still could. I'm not even arguing against it, but you'll now have Dak and the second quarterback in this draft. You'll get either one of C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, guaranteed.
Fine with it.
And then
he might get his third at 107.
You could possibly get Levis, right? But you'll have Kenneth Walker, T. Higgins, Komet, and then J-Mo, Dotson, Pierce. Like, you still have in a start 10 holes to fill, right? Whereas, and we talk about leverage. If you want to go to Will Levis being at 107, give me Dak and 3 quarterbacks in this class. Now you got quarterback leverage.
Yeah, I'm still taking Bijan.
All right, Cole. I'll be honest with you. In lineup start 10 leagues, I love Bijan Robinson, but if there's a position, put it like this. There's another good way to put it. All right, if your top running back gets hurt in a lineup start 10 league, that's the best position you could have be hurt because you can buy that position the cheapest, you can fill it the easiest. You know what's going to be really hard is if Dak or your quarterback 2, which is Bryce or CJ, go down. Now you got to buy into the Brock Purdy market. Mike doesn't even buy into that market. You got to buy into the, Geno market or something. I would much rather have 2 quarterbacks. Ken Walker's still a very fine running back 1, and then replace the other things around that. I think it's easier to do that. So I would personally be taking a quarterback at 101 and 103, and then watch.
Don't do it, Cole.
Do it. Absolutely.
Don't do it. Take Bijan.
I just don't think this team is ready. This team doesn't look ready enough to go yet for Bijan Robinson, in my personal opinion. But again, that's where we disagree. So sorry, Cole. That probably doesn't help you at all because now you have no confidence of doing anything.
No.
We have the rest of the team though. AJ Dillon, Tyler Algier, Bateman, Mechie, Sky Moore, Taekwon Thornton, Dolchich. 202. Oh, this is even less of Bijan. I'm taking all my shots. I'm taking all my shots. No, this is less Bijan. 202. Bijan. I have more picks than anyone in 23, and I can tell you right now that 202, 203, 204, 205, shoot all your shots at running back there. You don't need to take Bijan on this team. Take the quarterbacks.
You take Bijan, you're already getting 2 quarterbacks. You'll be fine.
Yep, and the trade show has yet to see a Bijan Robinson trade for anyone that has 2 quarterbacks, but we have seen quarterbacks being leveraged like they can't believe. So, Cole, do yourself a favor. Bijan. Do yourself a favor, Cole, and trust the process. Quarterbacks in Superflex.
Where's JB when I need him? JB.
Yeah, I don't think he's even. You know what? JB left the chat. He's like, I know what Mike's trying to do. I'm not going to be coerced into this. He's not going to do it.
Sending the Bacchus signal out.
12 team, half PPR, 4-point passing touchdown. I have the 101. Traded 106 and 203 and 403 to get 103. To get Richardson or CJ after I take Bijan. Thoughts? Yeah, I don't know the context of your team, but I do like this. As long as you have the quarterbacks, like if your quarterback room is appropriately built, yes, this is a great scenario to do. You take Bijan at 101 and you say, I'll take quarterback 2 at 103. But if you don't have a great quarterback room, that's where I'd much rather leverage quarterbacks. So
I'm in for anybody who's not into Will Levis as much as I am. That's what I'm in.
I got news for you. A lot of people are not into Will Levis as much as Mike is, by the way. It's basically the whole every 87 people watching here.
Except for Cody Carpentier. We get him on.
Cody, if you're watching, you and Mike are the ones that love Will Levis.
We have a lot to reminisce about when we're inevitably both right.
All right, so what's the longest running league you guys have, and who are the players drafted very late years back that have super high value now? Well, my first Dynasty league was, Ewok Village was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still here. That was the first one I had. I believe it was either 2019 or I think it was 2019. What about you, Mike?
The first Dynasty league I had.
Technically
was on
Dynasty, because I did a bunch of keepers before
Yeah.
that, but Dynasty was 2019.
Oldest league was on FFPC, but it doesn't exist anymore. Like as soon as Sleeper started doing Dynasty best
so that
ball,
league
like,
is over?
Well,
What's
it probably is.
What's the longest it's still going for
that's
you?
the one
where
that's the one where I won the championship for 2 years in a row, and then you can sell your teams on FFPC, not just orphan them, but actually sell them. And I think I've made like $400 or $500 off a team, just because it was that loaded.
I love it.
Longest, let's say 4 years right now. Sleeper league, longest running, 4 years.
Nice. I like it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's what this is. Yep, going into year 5. So,
Right. Yep, heading into
very
year 5.
very late. Well, I mean, this question fizzle is. Justin Herbert was late. Justin Jefferson was late. T. Higgins was late. Brandon Ayuk was late. I mean, super high value though is going to be Justin Jefferson and Justin Herbert are going to be the ones that fit that build.
Absolute units that were steals.
But I mean, those guys are top 10. Period. Like, so there's not that many people in top. There's 10 people in the top 10. You know, there's not going to be that many.
I think also too, like some of those other guys that stick out, right? Those guys that were 3rd or 4th round rookie picks back when, that nobody cared about, like Terry McLaurin, right? Was just an afterthought. How long he's kind of stayed in that relevant range up there for the entire time, which is interesting. Back when like Dwayne Haskins was a thing, so
yep.
Terry McLaurin's the one that I can remember getting in like the 4th round, maybe the 3rd round. I have to go back and look, but he was stupid late in rookie drafts.
Elijah Moore, 205. Let's just 12-team Superflex, Mike.
Give me the pick.
Yep. I said on the show, actually, 206 I would send. This is basically the same thing. I'm going to stick to my guns. It's 206. 205, I'll take the pick.
Okay. I'll take the pick at 205 or 206, but it's close.
Man,
it's close.
I'm out here missing super chats. Did you see this one, Mike?
I did not.
Maybe it's just happened. Anyway, appreciate the super chat, Cole. Appreciate your stream, fellas. This is an inbox offer I have for the team I sent in the chat. 103 and Tyler Algier for 104 and Amari Cooper.
I want the 104 and Amari Cooper.
I agree. Because at 104,
I'll trade back one spot and pick up a pretty good receiver
still,
that I could start.
But Amari Cooper helps you build the depth that I think you need on this team. And 104 affords you. Okay, so now instead you'll miss 2 of the 3, but you still got one of the quarterbacks there. You're going to get Bryce, you're going to get Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud. It's still the way that is at 104. If this is 105, I'm having a much tougher time doing the
now
trade.
He adds Amari Cooper, so it's even more beneficial to have Bijan because his team is that much closer.
Now I will admit that this does actually make it. You have more luxury to afford 101 to Bijan. I still probably wouldn't do it. No, I mean, honestly, if you're going to take 101 Bijan Robinson, you have to be a team, I think, that has the luxury to afford it. Like, that's the best way I could put it. I just watched you take
him today on a shitty team.
But what did I have? I also had 102, right? Oh, no. We're starting 3 running backs. We're starting 3 running backs. Go look at the Warp. Team. Go look at Warp. 3 running backs. It's the highest Warp out there. Josh Jacobs was the highest Warp in the whole league. That's why.
God, was converted you.
No, it's just, hey. Someone's going to need Bijan in a 3 running back start.
Twice if you need help.
You like that? All right. Tapping out. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, no problem. All right. FF Lefty. New patron. 12-team PPR, 1 quarterback start. 8. I have 101, 305, 24 second. I sent Waddle and Hollywood. Good. I want 101 over Waddle. In 1 quarterback, when you take out the Superflex thing, 101 is Bijan, and it's miles ahead of the rest. So I want 101 over Waddle. I'm good with the 24 second and 305 for Hollywood.
In a 1 QB, I mean, that's awfully light for Hollywood, but
you won on 101 over Waddle, I think.
You smashed the piss out of the 101 for Waddle.
That's why I still think I want this deal for you.
Yeah.
Start 8, we're also I'm okay consolidating in start 8 1 quarterback. So yeah. I'll take Bijan, who's just supremely valuable there. I like that.
I'll take that. I don't think there's too many in 1 QB. Realistically, I don't play in them, Adam. But if I'm just sitting here and I was like, I had a draft today, it's like what? Chase, Jefferson, Chase, and then who's the 3rd skill guy? Like, it's got to be Bijan at this point, don't it?
It will be Bijan. But if it's not including rookies, it's CeeDee Lamb. So, yeah, Bijan probably.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I bet JT still gets pushed up there pretty high too.
JT will be a top, 6-8 pick, but the wide receivers are going to really flood this market.
Yeah, pretty easy.
All right. So, all right, we got a couple minutes. We got actually 3 minutes until we got to get out of here. Where and how can we get in these leagues? Scary Hours. I love this. I love the name. Man. So patreon.com/South Harmon. We have leagues with all different patrons. You don't have to be in a specific tier to be in a league. But if you go in there, you'll be able to see 1, new leagues we post. 2, orphans that are posted. 3, people will post in the leagues channel other shitheads that aren't necessarily branded by us. Right. Hey, startup, orphan. Like, if you want to get in leagues with us, Mike and myself, the only way you get in leagues with Mike and myself is you got to basically be a patron. Or we did have one which wasn't. Speaking of Scary Hours, people were scared, right?
Listen, we had
to go to Twitter. We had to go to Twitter.
These last 2 auction leagues, man, I posted there. I figured they're going to be filled up instantly. People shit their pants, right? We get them about 3/4 of the way filled, but I gotta go out to the Twitterverse,
Twitter Spaces,
put it out there to the people. We need the last 3 spots filled. Come jump in. Generally,
if you want to play with Mike and I, the quick answer is if you want to play with Mike and I, Patreon will get you a very good chance to do that. We do so many of these leagues. They're going to be a lot of auction leagues, and they're going to be on Sleeper, but we'll do some snake ones.
Hey, and as long as it's a best ball league too, Superflex, 12 team. If it's right in my wheelhouse, I do go out and I do some slumming every now and then. I gotta get an alt account on Sleeper Adam so I can go out there and nobody knows who I am.
Everybody knows that crown is coming for no good. So anyway, yeah, if you want to be a part of those, that's where you can do it. All right, last question, man. This is it. This is going to be the last question. Let me find it. I feel bad there's multiple, but we're just going to take one. All right. 10 team, 2 quarterbacks, start 9. Starters are Mahomes, Stafford, Connor. Wow. That's James Conner? Garrett Wilson.
I don't know any other Connor.
I know. Garrett Wilson, Pitts, Olave, Devontae Smith, Herbert, Rashad White. Continued. Draft 23, 104 through 107, 204 and 205. 24, he's got 2 early firsts, more than likely. Would you trade 3 firsts plus for Josh Allen? 10 team, 2 QB, start 9. I think I would, though, actually.
Man.
So here's the thing. 10 team, we say this a lot, but 10 team makes it so that the scarcity is not as high, right? So it's harder to leverage the quarterbacks. But what's not changing is the elite ones still dominate in 10 team. So for Josh Allen, yes, I would trade 3 firsts. Which ones? I would say this: 104, 105, 106. Like any one of those 3 from 104 to 107 you have, I'd send for Josh Allen right now. Done.
Man,
you don't agree? Mike is in it. He's seeing me make all these picks in these drafts. He just wants to disagree with me.
I caught the fever, man. I caught the fever.
I get
That's
it.
what it is.
I understand. He needs to. You know what? We need Mike to go on a boat in a bag.
I got a fever.
I get it.
And the only prescription is more rookies. I think you're probably right, though. Logically,
thank you.
I mean,
God,
the 10 team.
Thank you.
The 10 team. It does devalue the quarterback position, where it's just not as important, right? Because the scarcity doesn't go out, but. I think probably from a WAR perspective,
quarterbacks, the high ones still, yes.
They're probably still pretty high.
100%. 100%.
I'd send them all.
Yep. Okay.
Scott
also says any first. 101, 2, and 3. There. Sometimes you know what? Sometimes I don't actually have to have Mike agree to feel affirmed in my beliefs. And this is one of those times.
Listen, I do truly appreciate it, though, when Scott chimes in, even though he just comes in and just big dicks the shit out of it, right? Big dick in the locker room, Scott. I love it.
Gene's on here. We got all the content creators in here. Gene's in here. F them picks. Let's go. You know what? This is a perfect segue to get out of here. We appreciate every single one of you guys tapping in, including Scott, including Gene, DB, everybody here. Appreciate it. It was a really good AMA session, honestly. Mike, any final thoughts outside of forcing Bijan at 101?
No, I'm going to miss you guys for the next couple weeks. I'm going on vacation, just the way the schedule works out, so I won't be back until, like a Wednesday night in the middle of the week. But going on a fan cruise, Dolphins fan cruise. I'm not even a Dolphins fan, but my old man's been a Dolphins fan forever, so he figured what better person to take than his son who just lives and breathes football, even though I'm going to wear all my Eagles shit the whole time. Like, I'm not wearing Dolphins gear, sorry. But
Mike,
I'll miss you guys, but wish me luck. I'm trying to get an interview. Dan Marino's going to be on the boat.
Mike, if you don't send a beer selfie, a drink selfie with Dan Marino, I'm going to be disappointed. Selfie. Yeah, right. You got to get that. Beer. I would have done it with Eric Armstead, but he doesn't drink, period. So that doesn't exist. I know Dan the man drinks.
Dan don't even have to drink, man. I'll have my marg in my hand.
There you go.
We got the drink pass. I'll have the little wristband on. I'll be 3 sheets to the wind. But I just want to say what's up to Dan. We're on the same boat.
All right, so everybody, another reason to join Patreon. You get the Dan the Man drink selfie with Mike. But we appreciate everyone tapping in. Mike's going to be on vacation for the next couple weeks. We got him covered. So we will see you back here, same time, same place, for Sunday AMA temporarily. We are out of this thing. Peace.